Today we find ourselves in a very unique LAPD division, the Motor Transport Division. Join Chief Charlie Beck for a conversation regarding the Chief's message for the month of October 2016. Hi boss, how are you?
Jack, I'm good. How about you?
Very good. You know what, boss? You're right at home here. You're a mechanic. We've been talking a little bit. You're a motorcycle guy. What's your opinion on the importance of Motor Transport Division?
Well, motor transport is the glue that holds us together. You know, the LAPD is a very mobile police department. We have to cover a very, very large footprint of ground with a limited number of officers, and getting around is really important to us. And then our culture. This is Southern California. We live in a car culture, and LAPD is built around that basic car. I mean, that's where we meet each other. That's where we learn to be partners. That's where we learn to do our police work. We're tied to the automobile, and without Motor Transport Division, we would be in serious trouble. They do a great job. I can't tell you how well maintained this fleet is. I go all over the country, all over the world, and nobody maintains their fleet like we do, and we treat these cars sometimes in an unloving manner. So I have to say that they do a great job, and I'm so proud that I'm their chief.
Well, we actually have two employees with us, and gentlemen, I will let you introduce yourself. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Greg Field, Automotive Supervisor with Motor Transport Division.
Javier Solis, Equipment Mechanic, part of the Advanced Technology team, sir.
Great to see you guys.
Thanks for being here.
You have a comment, question, Greg?
We had some questions just regarding basically like new technologies that we're using. So recently we added 100 all-electric BMW i3s to our fleet, and we were just wondering what your take is on the future of that kind of technology, battery electric.
Sure. Well, as everybody's well aware, the automotive industry is going through a huge sea change in what powers cars, and the LAPD's got to be part of that. We want to have a lower carbon footprint. We want to use less fuel. We want to use the latest technologies. We don't want to be tied to, as much as I love the Crown Vic, we can't be tied to cars that are no longer made. We have to find ways to use the new technology. So this is all part of that, and I think that 10 years from now, you're going to see a lot of alternate fuel vehicles, a lot of electric vehicles. I think the electric vehicles are becoming more and more mainstream, and they're going to be part of our fleet. So, and they have a lot of advantages. Anybody that's driven any of the high-end electric cars, knows how stable they are, knows how powerful they are, knows what an easy handling car they can be. So, I think it's the future.
How about you, Javier?
Yeah, so sir, being so, how would you make an electric vehicle? How would you think that would be viable for patrol use?
Well, we have to increase the range a little bit. I think that's important. We got to drive down the cost a little bit. The Tesla is a good example. The Tesla will make a great patrol vehicle when the cost is a little lower and when its range is a little further. Everything else is good. I can remember, telling old war stories. We had the Montego MXs. They were a beast of a car in the early 70s, and you only got about 70, 80 miles on a tank of gas in one of those because you were getting about 4 miles a gallon. So the Tesla's kind of like that right now. We need a little more range. It's got to be there when we need it. So we need to get that, and then it's got to be more affordable. But all that's going to happen. All that's going to happen in the very near future. And if we can be a little bit ahead of it, then I think that we'll be part of it.
Greg?
So we've also, over the past few years, we've added quite a bit of technology to the patrol vehicles. We have digital in-car video, we have automatic license plate recognition, and other things. We were curious, how has that impacted your mission or the department's mission in fighting crime and doing their job, the patrol guys?
Well, I think that we're right on the edge of where this is going to become very, very mainstream. Right now, we have a bunch of data inputs that come from the cars. A lot of information that the cars themselves capture. Not only all the telematics stuff about where, when, and what, the digital in-car video about who and what they're doing. The in-car video. The officer safety piece of that. The body-worn video, all of this is going to become more and more connected. We're going to bring out the connected officer applications that are going to go on their cell phone devices that the department's going to provide, and we're going to start connecting all this stuff. So right now, we're very much in the creation of these silos is a bad word because it's got a negative connotation, but we have all these information silos, and as we bring the connected officer platform together, they're all going to start connecting. Your cameras in your cars are going to be connected to your telematics. They're going to be telling you that what you may have missed or what you may anticipate. They're going to try to tell you where, if you're in the right patrol space for the right time. It's very much going to be an aid to police officers so that they can be just as good at their job as they could possibly be.
Javier?
Yes. What other technologies, sir, would you like to see implemented on these vehicles?
I would love to see. We talk about telematics, which is the ability to read the car's functions and where the car is and all of that. I would love to see biometrics tapped into our cars. One of the things I worry about is the condition of our police officers. Very stressful job. Heart rate can go sky high. You could have medical issues. I think that eventually our technology will be able to monitor our people and their condition just like we monitor the cars. And so that's going to be huge, because then when an officer needs help, we'll know before they know, because you'll be able to actually tell. And a lot of I see cops all the time. They wear the monitors on their wrists. They're monitoring what their heart rate is, their blood pressure, all that. Well, if we connect that to the platform, then we can help keep them safe. So all of that, then I want the watch commanders to be able to know where their cars are and what they're doing. It's always I sat in the watch commander's chair for a long time, and it's always you have roll call and you send them on their way, and it's kind of a mystery what's going on for a little while then. So it's great to add that so that we can make sure that we can do our job as well as it could possibly be done.
So I remember when I started in 1999, the fleet as a whole was starting to diversify quite a bit at that time. I think, Hondas, Toyotas, things like that, and they were still pretty rare, I think, if I remember right. So back in your day of patrol, what was the makeup of the fleet for the most part back then?
Mostly we had the Matadors, the AMC Matadors, and so the big contest was if you could get down to the kit room early enough to get one of the Matadors that had air conditioning, because we only had there were very few of them that had air conditioning. So you wanted a car with air conditioning. Maybe you could get the power window car, maybe, and then the cheater, which was the radio receiver in the back that would allow you to hear other units talk. Because the standard radio unit when I started, all you heard was communication. You couldn't hear each other, and much less take it out of the car with you. So those were the big things. And the other thing was the early Matadors didn't have power steering. So on a hot day in Rampart, wheeling around trying to park and parallel park in a 5,000 pound car with no power steering, well, could be a little difficult.
It'd be tough in a car we have today.
Yeah, it would be tough in one of
But
our
I'm
little
sure
cars.
It was a good workout, sir.
It was a little too good a workout. With no air, but the combination of no power steering and no air conditioning could ruin a wool uniform real quick.
So what year about was that?
Mid 70s. Yeah,
Okay.
mid 70s.
All right.
So, sir, what was your favorite patrol vehicle when you were back in patrol?
I think probably the Crown Vic. When you get right down to it, it was good in so many ways. It was a good car for you to maintain. It was a reliable car for us to drive. It had good performance. It had plenty of room. It was iconic. I think the Crown Vic was a great car and will be missed. I think there are better cars on the horizon. I think some chief will be standing here 20 years from now telling stories about I used to have to drive the Crown Vic, and there were all these issues with it. But I think that all of us feel a tug on that vehicle as a package. As a matter of fact, I've asked George and Vartan to get me the last Crown Vic, and we'll put it in the museum.
Yeah, I think they're working on that.
Yeah, I think they are too.
I heard something about that too.
So I have a question as the manager, and maybe you can pipe in with this as well. What the financial costs of the vehicles in the departments, just a tremendous cost. How do you foresee the future for that as far as our budget?
Well, for the 100 BMW electrics, we leased them, which is a really good option for a police department. The problem is, is our old model was buy them and drive them into the ground and sell them for nothing. you know, which is what we did with the Crown Vics. But hopefully, you know, now that the budget is a little more stable, we'll be able to churn these cars as they get, you know, upwards in mileage, so that the consumer can buy them from us and still have an extended warranty on them, but then we can replace them with a car that is still under the manufacturer's warranty. So that'll lessen the burden on motor transport and kind of make up for a lot of their shortcomings in personnel right now, but also give us a more reliable, newer, better equipped vehicle to drive.
We earlier talked about the green factor about the electric vehicles, as well as fuel saving factors, for example.
Well, yeah, and we are by far the greenest police department in the United States. You know, we have an electric fleet. You know, I'm really interested in some other electric vehicles, including motorcycles and pedal assist bicycles. And you know, we're going to start integrating them into our fleet too, as best we can. You know, given the technology, as the technology increases, we'll be able to bring them on board. So, you know, I think the future is very exciting. This is going to be a time when we look back and we see the big change, you know, the big change in the way that police departments think about their cars and think about what kind of modes of transportation they use. And what better place than LAPD? I mean, like as I stated at the start, we are a car culture. This is Southern California. You know, vehicle is king here.
Thanks a lot, Chief.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you,
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jack.
Sir.
Remember to stay safe and take care of each other.